Hello, everyone. As I mentioned many times, I live in Budapest, Hungary. This is my main residence. And the Ides of March, the 15th of March, is a wonderful, beautiful festival for us because it commemorates the 1884 revolution and freedom fight. And of course, all revolutions are beautiful, idealistic. No, they're not. They're horrible. They are murderous. And a lot of people die, and it's just, it might be ideologically beautiful, but in reality, it is always horrible. That is the case with all kinds of wars, all kinds of revolutions, and all kinds of fights. When blood is shed, it's always bad. Let's put it this way. But let's take a look at this space-time moment, because it does have some messages for us. Let's go to the beginning of what I prepared for you. The prelude is on March 13th, when the Sun-Neptune conjunction becomes exact. And in Budapest, it's sometime around between 12 noon and 1 p.m. I chose 12:25 because the moon is rising, and with the ascendant-descendant angle, we have an interesting complex planetary picture. But let's take a look at the Neptune-Sun conjunction first. First of all, Neptune is in its own sign, so it's very, very strong in Pisces. So you see a lot of ideals flying around in the world. It's very interesting how religion is replaced by ideology and ideas, and they are just as bad sometimes and just as horrible, even if they have this very nice facade of, like, for instance, climate change and all kinds of migration and all these catchwords that are flying around. It's quite interesting that we used to have three catchwords: migration, climate change or climate, and virus. And the war miraculously did away with all three. And now we have war. So it's very important for you to understand that world press is occupied by maybe 2, 3, 4 main players throughout the world. So mainstream media is global, and it's a very unified voice, and you don't hear anything. So you will only see the news that they think you should see, and nothing else. So yes, you are ideologically completely brainwashed. And unless you pay attention to other stuff and you are willing to research what is happening, you won't know what is happening, only what they want you to believe. But anyhow, the Sun-Neptune conjunction is always beautiful. This is today, on the 13th, it's going to be a Kazemi conjunction, which means that Neptune becomes or gets into the heart of the sun. So it gets infused with energy and consciousness and power. So it's amplified. Its ideological beauty is amplified, but so is self-sacrifice and all kinds of esoteric knowledge, insight, clairvoyance. And if you can take a look at the complex planetary picture, the Sun Neptune is really at the top of everything, so the focal point. But let's see what we can find here. There's a mystic rectangle between the moon ascendant and descendant in Cancer Capricorn, and of course the moon in Cancer is also very strong in its own sign. And the nodal axis, this is the mystic rectangle. You do have a tense, we do have a tense trapeze. It's tense because the sides are squares, a cardinal square between the moon and Aries, highlighting drastically altered outward circumstances, chaos and anarchy, and wars and revolutions. And then the south node Astrea, which is a fixed square, denoting the fact that we have not yet been able to change our destiny that stems from our old karmic past. And the top is the Astrea Aries sextile. The two karma breakers are forming the stage on top of which we can actually step. And the insides are two quincunxes. One is Aries south node, the requirement to deal with the past south node in the situation that we are seeing now, the chaos and drastically altered outward circumstances. And the moon Astrea is highlighting, illuminating your own karmic change abilities, how you can change or break your old embedded karma. So that's the trapeze. And then we have a mini crown, which is really fascinating because the trine between the north node and the standard, which is also not just partners, but also open enemies. That's an earth trine, that's the base. And you have the semi-sextiles between north node Aries, Sun, Neptune, Astrea, and the descendant. So this is the mini trapeze. If we take a look at the transcendental objects of the space-time moment, we can identify a lot of themes. And this is why I work with these transcendental celestial objects, because they can change from day to day. Sometimes they travel together, sometimes they go backwards, and they shift the space-time moment, and they give us interesting insights into the actual time energy. And here the Sun Neptune is conjunct Prudencia and Aten. By the way, the color coding is the same. Asteroids, which are the personal level, are in purple. There's only one trans-Neptunian, which is in blue, and red is the fixed stars, which are not of the solar system. They are not part of the solar system, they're part of the universal levels. So they are transcendental both in time and space, and they give us healing energies or prepare us for certain difficult incarnations here on the earth plane. So anyhow, Prudencia is of course prudence, and Aten is the sun disk in Egyptian mythology. So it's the double sun energy here. And Markab is Alpha Pegasus, which denotes brilliant ideas jumping out of your head. The moon is on Procyon, which is Alpha Canis Minor, so the minor, the smaller dog. Behind the brightest star, Sirius, Procyon is still a very bright star, 0.5 magnitude. And it really goes after Sirius, it's some kind of follower energy. The north node has Hephaestus and Virtus, virtue, and Hephaestus, the brilliant smith, who himself is lame and handicapped, but whatever he creates is perfect. And the idea that in human level, we are all imperfect, lame. But what we can actually aim at creating things that are perfect and beautiful. That's the idea behind it. And that's on North Node. And this is why I think this moment, space-time moment, is important, because it allows us to actually enjoy life and enjoy nature and enjoy the coming spring and our ability to create something beautiful. And that's the key, I think. On the south node, you have Deukalion, which is a TNO, so it denotes karmic wounds. Deukalion in Greek mythology is the son of the Titan Prometheus, he was the one who stole fire for people, for mankind. And Deukalion is a survival archetype because he's the one who gets chosen by Zeus to survive the flood, by which Zeus just does away with mankind because he gets fed up with our gimmicks and our bad behavior. So Deukalion is both the chosen person and also a survival. And on the south node, think about it, we are all chosen and we are all survivors because we are here. So that is exactly the idea behind this. And Agena, Beta Centaur, is one of the healing birds of karmic wounds, Chiron wounds especially. It's a southern constellation. You don't see it from Europe or from the United States. You need to go somewhere into New Zealand or somewhere to the southern hemisphere. It's a beautiful, bright star, and it denotes painful learning processes, and karmic wounds are always denoting painful things. And then Astrea has her Heracles and Hermes. So in order to be able to break old embedded karma, you need two important archetypes, Heracles, the hero, and Hermes, the magician. So that's on the 13th. And then actually on the Ides of March, on the 15th, here are the conjunctions you have. So it's a very, very different space-time energy, by the way. The main issue is that the moon is quite fast at the moment, and it covered the distance within 2 days of one sign, actually, because on the 13th, you saw the moon around 24, 25 Cancer around noon. And now a day later and a couple of hours later, because that's 6 p.m. Budapest time, 5 p.m. London time, you have the moon in Leo, 24 degrees Leo, something like that. So, but it's a mildly different energy if you look at it. We still have very important conjunctions. Sun Neptune is still there. Chiron Pallas Athena, which was the main feature of the last couple of days and weeks, is also still there. So you can actually you can understand your karmic wounds through wisdom. But what's interesting is that dark moon Lilith, which is the acceptance of the curse, is on Uranus. So that a little bit bothers me. I don't really like this. So what can we do? Can be perfect all the time. So here's the fixed ground cross, which is actually a double karmic cage involving the moon, which has been at this position, closing the ground cross for at least 7-8 hours. Even if it's fast enough, we give it a 2-degree orb either side. 2 degrees is about 4 hours for the moon to pass, 3-4 hours. So it's going to be closed. The whole fixed ground cross or double karmic cage will be closed throughout the day, really. So from the from late morning till late evening, for at least 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours. Anyhow, so it's the ground cross is made by the moon Astrea opposition and the nodes. Okay, so the moon is highlighting our own abilities to break old embedded karma. And of course, the whole ground cross is dissolved by the Sun-Neptune conjunction, which is still very tight, and by Aries, drastically altered outward circumstances. You can see that the sextile between Aries and Astrea are still very, very tight, is still very, very tight. So here are the transcendental celestial objects for the 15th. And you will see that they're slightly different. There's some that are still there, and there's some new ones as well. For instance, on the North Node, all of a sudden you have 4 asteroids. You still have Hathor and Rhea, the 2 feminine archetypes. You have Abundancia and Hephaestus. So you have 2 mothering archetypes. Abundance, that yes, we can create abundance here on the earth plane, and Hephaestus, the ability to create something perfect, even if we are imperfect. On the north, that's on the North Node. On the Sun, you see Prudencia and Paciencia and Aten, practically the same. On the South Node, you'd still see Deukalion and Agina, so learning from your karmic wounds, letting them go through survival and through understanding that yes, we are chosen. But there's Melpomene, who was the muse of tragedy. So yes, in our past, in our both ancestral and personal past, we do have tragedies, but we need to overcome them, we need to survive them, and we need to heal. On Aries, you see Victoria. This was not there 2 days ago, and Victoria is about it just reached 1 degree exactness. So it becomes a conjunction today, actually on the 15th. And Victoria is victory. So actually our drastically altered outward circumstances, which is studied by wars and revolutions and nonsense and all kinds of bad news. Yes, we can actually overcome it by being victorious. And on Astrea, you have an extra celestial object. We still have Heracles and Hermes, which means that we still need a hero and a magician, or we need to become heroes and magicians to be able to overcome our karmic wounds around anything that has not been accomplished yet. So whatever we need to break, whatever we need to overcome. But also there's Krantor, which is an interesting centaur. It's a centaur. and it denotes to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, this is interesting because it actually can be interpreted in two ways. You could say that in order to overcome things that happened or occurred to you when you were at the wrong place at the wrong time, you need to become a hero or a magician, but also by becoming a hero and a magician in order to break old embedded karma or change your destiny, you might get into places or situations at the wrong time, at the wrong place. And this is a warning as well. But at the same time, this is a beautiful moment in spring. Hopefully spring is coming now. We are 5 days away from the vernal equinox, which is the when the sun finally really conquers darkness. So let's look at it this way. Let's look at the space-time moment in a very optimistic way. And happy Ides of March to everyone. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.